Hello and welcome to Fit After 40. What you are about to hear is part two of our two-part conversation with Dr. Derek Alessi. Now,
Yeah.
as we move into the fitness training, the next section of your three pillars here, let's start at the beginning. A new client has come in, you've completed your diet consultation. Now we're going to talk about fitness. What are your preferred metrics to look at when you're evaluating someone's physical fitness? We talk a lot about VO2 max. We talk about various strength metrics. What do you look at?
I'm looking at joint integrity. So first and
Hmm.
foremost, I guess having a minor in PT, I can't help but look at it. So a lot of my clients that come in to see me have different orthopedic issues, shoulders, hips, knees, back, neck. In general, a woman would be more inclined to having knee-based problems.
Hmm.
Men, it might be
Yeah.
back, and for both genders, it can be shoulder. So the first thing I want to do is we want to make sure that we're not injuring those areas at all. So we have to look at the muscular imbalance of it. So I'll take something just as an easy example. A woman comes in, she has knee problems. Most of the time, it's because their tibias have rotated inward and their femurs have rotated inward to help support their weight and lack of strength. Many times we can take some of that pressure off by not focusing on the quads, but focusing on the hamstrings and the glutes to pull the femurs back out again. Now, it might not rebuild and repair their cartilage or meniscus that got torn along the way, but it can help prevent more injuries from happening. So starting with the hams, starting with the glutes is a great place to start with, especially for women, although it's certainly not a bad strategy for men either.
Hmm.
Now, for a guy, if once again they have back problems, and keep in mind the people that I'm seeing are going to be over 40 years of age in
Hmm.
general, so there is some wear and
Yeah.
tear on the body. Are their hip flexors strong enough? Can it help support their midsection and torso? Are their glutes too weak? Once again, are their hips lagging? So if you've ever looked at the silhouette of a guy, and if it looks like their hips are way high in the back or their belt is way high in the back and way low in the front, and you stare at it and say, is their belly just pushing their belt down? And the answer is it's usually more than that. Their whole entire pelvis is shifted forward because of
Huh.
what we're talking about. Their hip flexors are too weak, hamstrings are too weak. And because of it, they have that tipping, and then their quads become too strong and they have a spacing issue in their spine. So we're looking at the hip mobility, hip strength as well. And then lastly, we see it a lot at the shoulders. So a lot of people have anything from bicep tendonitis, they have frozen shoulder, they have even potentially rotator complex problems. And the
Hmm.
first thing they want to do is they join a gymnasium and they want to do a pec deck, they want to do a butterfly fly, they want to start bench pressing. It's not the best place to start. You have to pull the shoulders back again by getting stronger on the backside of the body. So start looking at the rear delts. Look at the mid back, look at the upper back, look at the traps. Get those muscles stronger, put the skeletal system back into alignment before you turn around and start working the chest with your incline bench pressing and cable
Right.
flies and pec deck. So I'm looking orthopedically more than anything else, just like a foundation of a house. I want to make sure that we don't have a wall that's cracking. I want to make sure that everything is plumb and even before we start talking about putting the shutters on the house and putting the drapes on and so on and so forth. So that's key to me.
In your book, you stressed the right exercise, not just enough exercise, but the correct exercise. So thank you for unpacking that. And for those who are interested, the Bermuda Triangle diet, a significant portion of the book is dedicated to very specific exercises with pictures and lots of help there. So let's talk about the changes that you're seeing with your clients who are, specifically we're interested in over 40, but obviously uh, the trajectory does not end when you transition from your 30s to your 40s. It keeps going. We talk about sarcopenia. We talk about loss of bone mass. So so let's talk about this. Let's start with how much of this is unavoidable. It's just hormonal and age-related changes, or is it disuse as we just become more sedentary, as we sit at our desk and stare at our computer screen all day?
Yeah, Chris, the answer is both. Once somebody hits their genetic peak and it's a little bit younger for women, call it maybe age 18 to 22, a little bit later for men, age 24 to 27, those things are going to happen. You mentioned loss of muscle tissue, sarcopenia, osteopenia, osteoporosis, loss of bone tissue, and also loss of tendon and cartilage and meniscus type of connective tissue. They're
Mhm.
all related, and it all stems from the fact that we're past our genetic peak. Now, mind you, we're not currently still growing, but that doesn't mean turn around and die. Maybe we've all evolved from you just had to get to full maturation, you had to procreate for your civilization, fight the pesky warring tribe next door, and then
Yeah.
die. But those days are over. We've evolved, and now we want this lifestyle. We want a high quality of life, and we want to have longevity with high quality. So the way in which we combat that, of course, is we keep working on it. We keep improving it. So I know we've mentioned it a couple times. Yes, I do work with people that are older, over 40, but I've mentioned 60, 63, 64 is our
Sure.
median age. The oldest person I've ever worked with was 97.
Wow.
Wow.
97, right? Um, and it's funny because one of my staff members asked him just jokingly, he said, "How long do you want to live? Do you really want to get to be 100?" And he said, "I do." And he said, "I don't know if I'd want to be 100." My staff said that to him. And the guy said, "Well, I understand that, but you've never been 97."
Yeah. Fair.
So,
Fair enough.
it changes how you look at the whole thing. But if you keep trying to work your muscle tissue so that you'd A, don't lose anymore, but B, even turn it around and start regaining what you've
Hmm.
lost, you'll also gain the bone density and the connective tissue that goes along with it. So, Chris, a lot of people don't realize they all come together in a package.
Hmm.
When you lose muscle, you don't lose muscle independently of losing bone, independently of losing tendon and ligament. They all move together. If you lose
Mhm.
bone, if you lose muscle, you'll lose bone and tendon, ligament. You gain muscle, you'll gain bone and tendon and ligament, which is super important and critical. Now, if I have somebody at 97, I don't want to lose any more, but the question then becomes is, are we able to gain it? And the answer is you could even reverse it at age 97. Now, is it quicker if you were younger, if you were in your 60s, 50s, 40s, 20s? Of course. You're going to have the right hormone contribution
Sure.
in order to change it much easier. So, yes, the younger the better in general, but at any age, you could at least stop it and even turn it around somewhat. So, we're always looking to increase it. So, when it comes to a client meeting with me for the most time, depending upon their age, I'm hoping if they have a solid year of training, they'll stop losing muscle and gain 1 or 2 lean pounds. Now,
Okay.
if they're a little bit younger, let's say that they're 30 or 40, I'm hoping they gain somewhere between 3 to 5 lean pounds, muscle, bone, connective tissue in 1 calendar year. Now, most people think that's ridiculously slow, and it is, but you're not going to jump up 15, 20, 30 pounds of muscle tissue for the general population that are non-bodybuilding and doing non-bodybuilding things.
And of course, if you try to add that much muscle to an untrained person quickly, your risk of injury goes through the roof. You're just going to hurt
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you would, and they wouldn't even have the right hormone profile to pull it off anyway. I couldn't agree. So I always want to be a little bit conservative when trying to gain lean muscle tissue, unlike fat. So the funny part is, for most people, in the amount of time that it takes to gain 1 pound of lean tissue, you can drop 25 pounds of fat.
Wow. That's
It
dramatic.
Wow.
it's a 25-to-1 ratio for most people that are in their 40s and 50s, 25-to-1. So although many people think that losing fat is slow, oh my goodness, compared to gaining lean, it is lightning fast.
I think, since we're speaking kind of holistically here, it's important to note how much easier it becomes to lose fat as you add muscle. Extra muscle mass, of course, if you're looking at the resting, the resting metabolic rate, the basal metabolic rate, this goes up a lot. If I have more muscle, I'm going to burn more calories, whether I'm using those muscles or not.
Yeah, 100% agree. So the equation that we use in-house, and you could hear different versions of this equation, but just to keep the math simple, is metabolically, every 1 pound of muscle is responsible for the burning of about 50 calories a day. Sometimes you hear 35, sometimes you hear 48, sometimes you hear 52. You've heard different numbers, but once again, Unfortunately, in school, I wasn't a math major, so I try to keep the numbers pretty even. So we attributed to about 50 calories per 1 pound of muscle tissue. Now, that being said, of course, there is certain advantages of being younger. You're going to have more muscle tissue in general. There's certain advantages of being taller. You're going to have more muscle tissue. And there's, of course, a gender preference too. Men have a genetic advantage. Men are going to hold more skeletal muscle. So, yes, it is quicker, it is faster. Men can eat more, they can lose quicker. For the women, I know it's unfair, it stinks, it's not right. But nonetheless, those preferences will definitely feature the muscle tissue.
And how do you balance your strength training with the cardio training? Obviously, cardio is an essential part of optimal health. And Tony and I are both endurance athletes. I do more strength training than he does. I keep it up every week. But where do you recommend your clients strike this balance?
They're both important. And the thing is, when people ask me what's more important, strength training or cardio, well, first and foremost, any program I'm going to design is going to have both.
Yeah.
Without question. Now, if you forced me to the next question and said, okay, but if you had to choose one and you're an adult, an aging adult, which one would you choose? And the answer to me would be strength training, because you're going to always get an aerobic benefit from doing anaerobic activity. You'll always be working your heart. There is aerobic in anaerobic, but there's not anaerobic in aerobic. So if you had to choose one, for everything that we just talked about, your muscle mass, your metabolism, your movement, your bone density, your connective tissue, tendon, ligament, strength training. Now, that being said, for the most part, most people don't have to choose just one. You can do both.
Right.
And there's more than one way to do both. Now, mind you, I think anybody in the health and fitness world knows that, I mean, heck, you could train every single day. You could do double sessions a day if you want to. You can make it a real priority. For a lot of my clientele that might have an office job, they might be a school teacher, an accountant, an attorney. They're not doing double sessions. They're not training every day. So we try to incorporate both of them into a workout. So the way in which we break it down is we like to do just about a 3 to 5 minute warm up and then strength training first.
Okay.
Do the strength training
You
first.
like strength training first.
And a lot of people do it the opposite way, and I don't necessarily recommend it, because if the goal is to gain lean tissue, do it when the tank is still full. So do the strength training first. Do the cardio second, because of what we just talked about regarding the strength training, but also too, when it comes to burning fat, when you look at the energy systems that the body uses during a workout, after you work through your ATP, after you work through your blood sugar or glycolic systems, you get into fat burning or lipolysis later, which is great for doing cardio after. But if you do cardio before, it's not optimal for body fat reduction, and it's downright bad for trying to gain muscle tissue. So we recommend strength training first, cardio second.
That's good to know.
Something that I always kind of think about though, as a runner, is and I'm just kind of shooting from the hip right now, but I trail runners, a lot of us we don't maybe do a lot of the strength training, but then I'm climbing 10 to 15,000 feet of hills every week with a weighted pack. I mean, that is in a sense, I think you're getting some of the strength training through the cardio in those situations too, in certain activities, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah. So you're a special breed of runner. You're running with a pack. Is it even rucking?
No, I mean, I'm just talking about like, general like nutrition, hydration, that sort of stuff. I mean, I do sometimes ruck, obviously, just as a hiking type method, but I'm just, within trail running, for instance, of course, there is quite a bit of anaerobic working going on when you're, going up these steep inclines for long distances. So,
Yeah, no doubt. Your legs are certainly getting it, and your core and spine are getting it too. The average person that comes in to see me, if they're a runner, they're a person that's running up and down the streets or running in their subdivision around their cul-de-sac, something
yeah.
like that. They're not doing elevation, and they're certainly not doing weighted packs type of run. Or we're seeing a different breed too right now, where a lot of people just spend more and more time spinning. in these
Yeah.
different spin centers, and there's soul cycles and places like that too. But yes, the way in which you're handling it, you are doing strength training. You may be not hitting all the parts of your upper body per se.
Exactly. Yeah.
That should be isolated separately, and you probably could handle that just doing it twice per week at that point. But your core and your spine and your legs are certainly getting it with the back and everything else you're doing at elevation.
So, Dr. Derek, as we move into third pillar here, the kind of the talk about lifestyle integration, I'd like to begin by asking, you're coaching busy people. These are often people that are probably, at the height of their career, their demands on their time, their stress level is often high. So, how do you coach this holistically?
One of the things I like to ask is what's important about their career? What got you to this point in your career? What type of priority have you put to it? And can you apply that to your health? Is your career more important than your health? Is your health more important than your career? How do you want to handle it? How do you want to play it? So we talked about it before, being a better student, but I like certain subjects. I don't like other subjects. I'm not good at chemistry or I'm not good at spelling. Okay, but when it comes to your overall health, do you want overall health? And most people do. I don't know many people that are willing to push their career to the end to make sure that they're optimizing that, but not be healthy or not live to enjoy it. So I think that has to be realized in the grand scheme of things. And oftentimes, what I have seen, even working with extremely busy people and extremely successful people, is the more successful a person is, typically, the more they'll prioritize their health and wellness. So I had a story about, I've been in this industry for 30 years, but over 25 years ago, one of my clients owns a professional sports team, NHL hockey team.
Cool.
And I'm a young guy at the time. I'm in my mid 20s. And he said to me one morning, he said, could you give me a key to your studio? And I said, why do you need a key to my studio? And he said, just in case some morning you can't make it. I said, why wouldn't I be able to make it? And he said, well, whatever. He said, I don't know. You don't set your alarm, or you oversleep, or, you lose power, and whatever it is. He said, this way I can work out and I don't have to be disrupted. And I thought about that for a second. And I pushed it a little bit further. I said, well, why do you think I would miss if you could be here? And he said, because to me, this is of extreme importance. I have this time that I must spend on it without distraction. And I said, but don't you have as much distraction as anybody? And he said, no, 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 I don't. I have much more distraction than everybody else. Much more people pulling at my time. I have more people coming at me than you'll ever dream of. And I will deal with them and handle them after I spend time on myself. This is my time. So whether or not you oversleep, whether or not your power fails, whether or not you think the roads are too bad to drive to your studio in the morning, I'm going to be here, and I'm not going to let anything that disrupts you disrupt my time and my priority. And at the time that I heard this, which was once again over 25 years ago, I don't know that I appreciated it as much as I appreciate it now. I didn't quite understand it to the same level. But I do now, and the reason why this gentleman was so darn successful was exactly that. He put it into himself first. He didn't say, oh, I'm so busy. I have phone calls, I have emails, I have this, I have that, I have weather. He said, nope, I am handling this at this time because I need it for me in order to do what I do. So I think essentially that is that third pillar, the prioritization of yourself, what you're hoping to pull off for your lifestyle, for your energy, for your well-being, for your career, for you, for your esteem. It's all about your life. And if you optimize it, you'll never regret it.
Great advice. So I personally am a huge fan of when there's an opportunity to integrate healthy habits into your daily life. Maybe that's riding your bike to work instead of taking the car. Maybe it's just walking to lunch. So where do you see opportunities for lifestyle modification to make us healthier outside of the kitchen and the gym?
You step outside of the kitchen and gym, you're stepping outside of my wheel of influence. Um, I'm a big fan of dedicating as much as I can to doing certain training at the time and then moving on to the rest of your life. But of course, I'm a person that will never discourage activity. So if you want to bike to work, if you want to eat, look, if you want to walk the dogs every day, if you want to be outside in the yard with your kids or grandkids, anything you could do is better because you're using your body and you're going to get benefits from it. It can't replace dedicated time that you would spend on a program, but it certainly could add to it. So I'm a fan of trying to incorporate into it. And look, at the end of the day, the reason why we do this training in the gym is so we can enjoy these other activities. I'm an avid golfer, but I do not consider golfing one iota exercise, not one. And I walk the course with the bag on my shoulders. I do not consider it exercise. It's a sport, it's an activity, it's enjoyment, it's entertainment, it's time off, but it's not my dedicated workout. So I do my dedicated workout so I can enjoy golf. Somebody else might enjoy biking, rollerblading, roller skating, playing with the kids, grandkids. I think training does all of that for you.
Do you not think that the training is more effective though in some ways if it is, something you truly, truly enjoy, right? So I mean, I don't like I always make this point of the show. I honestly I don't exercise for my health. I do it because I love it. And that's why it sticks for me. So I don't know. I mean, your thoughts on this. Like, I think that so many times the best way to find an activity and be able to stick to it and actually change or modify your lifestyle is you have to have something that you actually like to do.
I know the point that you're referring to, but once again, I think you're pretty specialized with your own training regime. Most people will say things like, "Oh, I don't like the gym. I really enjoy outside walking around," which sounds great, and they'll probably do it 6 times a year. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not going to be consistent enough, and it's not going to make a difference in their health and fitness, especially when they say, "But my blood sugar is too high, my blood pressure is too high. I'm on these different medications, and I'm 60 pounds overweight." So they need something more sustainable than that. For me, spending time with nutrition and physical fitness is, once again, pardon the the reference, but it's the same as school. So I want a good career. I want a good lifestyle. I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. I want to be able to use the right words. So I have to make sure that I'm checking in at school, doing the right things. I have to keep my education going. I have to constantly be learning. I
Mhm.
see the same type of thing, and I hope you do enjoy different activities. I hope you enjoy golf. I hope you enjoy trail running. I hope you enjoy roller skating. I really do. I don't think most people will turn it into consistent, sustainable exercise, though, that will be effective.
So, in reading in reading, I think it was in your book. I believe you talked about a 5-step process with a new client. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so for me, it all starts with that consultation that I referred to a little bit earlier. I'm going to spend some time with somebody really breaking everything down, getting their measurements, getting their body comp, looking at medications, looking at health history. In fact, one of the things that I want to do with every client, and we probably do with about 95% plus, is I get a copy of their labs and I'm looking at their metabolic panel and their lipid panel just to make sure that metabolically we know what we're dealing with. So what if we have to improve something, we know exactly what it is. From there, what we're going to do is I want to hear what their goals are and then give them a recommendation based upon it. So just like in school, hey, this is your current grade point average. Let me show you what some better grade point averages look like. And then let me give you the breakdown and show you exactly what you would have to do to get those grade point averages and keep those grade point averages. Then from there, let's start building what the nutrition program looks like, what the fitness program looks like, what the evaluatory program looks like. Same type of thing. We need these checkpoints. We want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and we want to keep it consistent and sustainable. So I don't want somebody cramming for an exam, losing 20, 30 pounds, gaining it back. I want somebody that keeps it off. You work up to be an A student. Let's stay an A student. Don't go back to an F student. You weren't happy when you were there. Let's go to an A, stay at an A. And then this way you don't have to worry about it for the long run. So those are the steps. I know I gave you more than 5 right there, but that's essentially it of building this whole entire program. But the last part, though, the check-ins, the evaluation, I meet with every single client every single month for these
Okay.
check-ins. just to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. Because to me, the third party accountability is crucial in order to make sure that a person is staying on track. So we try to keep them within those guide rails. They get their grades where they need to go. Let's keep it right there so that you don't rebound and go back to where you were.
And when a doctor looks at the metabolic panel and some of these other test results you get from blood work and so forth, the doctor's first response may be, we need to put you on this medication. In your book, you explicitly say reducing medications is a goal in your practice. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about your approach? Can we talk about why that is a goal?
Yeah, so most people that come in to see me will be on anywhere between 2 to 6 medications. And it's funny, I think about 5 years ago, we started hitting this capitulation point in which it became more and more and more medications, so much so now that you're starting to see statistics that 70% of adults do not trust the medical community whatsoever. Only because our whole approach for years, for decades, has been nothing but medicate it. And people are starting to see through that right now, and it's not healthier, and it's not leading to longevity, and it's not leading to health. So they're trying to reduce it, but a doctor, a physician, is not compensated, expected, or trained to help them do anything from a holistic point of view. They're looking to see if they're in a danger zone for something and what they could do to medicate it. So people that come to see me want to reduce that. They want to change it. They want to start reducing their medication. If you ask me what is the biggest factor in all of these medications, whether it's high blood pressure, high blood sugar, thyroid disorder, triglyceride issues, acid issues, there's a lot of them. And the answer is really one word, and that's obesity. As obesity has gotten higher, all of those medications and all of those problems have become more prevalent. As obesity starts dropping per person, I don't mean per society, but as obesity is changing per person, the medication will reduce. So obesity is measured from a body fat standpoint of being greater than 35% body fat. So get your body fat down, get it below 35% to start with. So in school, that would be like getting a C, get it below 35%. Get it below 30%. Now we're starting to get into the B category. Get it below 20%. We're in the A category. And you will notice the medications that you're on will keep reducing. And then eventually most of them will be eliminated.
And of course, if you do this naturally, there's a lot of other benefits. You're going to have an enhanced energy level, and you're going to sleep better. So let's talk about the importance of sleep and supporting good sleep. What is your approach here? How do you coach this aspect of health?
We first have to talk about what a really crappy night's sleep would be. And that would be tossing and turning, not staying in deep sleep, frequent waking episodes, which is what many people suffer from way too often. And if you ask me what would I have to do to make sure that I have a really bad sleep, terrible sleep, totally crappy sleep, it would be simple. Increase your insulin. If your insulin's up, you're going to be up frequently throughout the night. How do I get my insulin up? Well, here is my recipe for a crappy night's sleep. Have some pizza and alcohol for dinner, and then go to bed a couple hours later. Now, you might pass out on the couch, be a little bit groggy, go up to bed, but you will be up many times throughout the night, tossing and turning, sweating. Your pillow is going to be hot, covers off, covers on, many times to the bathroom. No matter how many hours you lay in bed, you're going to wake up the next morning and you're going to feel exhausted. Yeah, so it's not total hours at all. It is total quality. So now that we're able to track sleep a heck of a lot better at home, because years ago, if you ever wanted to track sleep, you had to do the sleep study. They had to fill you up full of electrodes and watch you overnight, which, by the way, is not a very natural way. And a lot of people will have a terrible night's sleep just because they're in a totally foreign environment with all of these cords and everything. And
sleeping in a lab.
Yeah, it's like the worst time ever to evaluate somebody's sleep. But now we could get a much better reading from at home because a lot of people are using their Fitbits or their Apple Watches at night. Yeah. So instead of wearing it just during the day, you wear it at night. And all of them have apps that you could download to track your sleep. And you'll notice in there, it'll give you a lot of different data. In fact, all of them are broken down between light sleep and deep sleep. Some even break out REM sleep separately from deep sleep. Some add
Yeah.
the REM sleep to the deep sleep. It'll show you frequent waking episodes or how often you woke up or broke that cycle throughout the night. Some of them will record even movement or sound or apnea. So we're getting a lot of different information now from these wearable devices. But in general, if I'm looking at it for either myself or a client, I want no more than one waking episode during the night.
Okay.
And I'm looking to get a sleep quality score of at least 50%, meaning I want to spend at least 50% of my time in deep sleep and REM sleep compared to light sleep. If it's greater than 50%, even better. But I'm looking for minimally 50%, which I can never get if I have any alcohol, pizza, pasta, ice cream, any of
Right.
those things, throw it out the window.
Out of curiosity, what do you think of these devices that we're all wearing? I mean, Chris and I both use Garmin devices. My wife uses a Coros, and I think everybody that has it, first thing I do in the morning is there's a morning report on the watch, and it's
Yep.
like first I scan up and see what my HRV was and how well I slept that night. And I know there's a lot of skepticism around these devices and how they measure, but at the same time, they at least provide you some kind of a baseline, I'd
Yeah.
suppose. So,
Yeah, Tony, I think it's invaluable. I think it's fantastic. In fact, I would wish more people would wear it while they're sleeping.
yeah.
I know many people are used to just charging it while they're sleeping. I
Hmm.
try to reverse it as often as possible because the data it's giving you while sleeping, in my opinion, is even more valuable than what you're getting when you're awake.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan, and some of them are even more advanced than that, such as the Ring. So you can get the Aura Ring. For 6 years, I've worn an EEG machine on my head when I sleep. So I have all the
Oh,
electrodes
wow.
in the whole helmet while I'm sleeping to try to measure brainwave activity while I'm sleeping. I think what we're able to get at home in terms of those devices is phenomenal. Really good information, especially if you're trying to optimize your health. Because quickly, within a very short period of time, you can see exactly what's going on in terms of everything we just mentioned, how often you're waking up, what the quality score is, and so on and so forth.
And thanks for bringing up alcohol. I think that this is something that we as a society are coming to find. Um, you know, Years ago, the conventional wisdom was a couple of glasses of wine was good for you. It helps you relax, helps you go to sleep. If I have even one drink before bed, my sleep tracker and just my general feeling the next day. I mean, this is backed up by my by how I feel. Sleep is garbage. Sleep quality is garbage. It's there is really very little. The safe amount of alcohol is a lot lower than they tell you, I think.
Yeah, I think that safe amount is probably none.
It's
Yeah.
probably none
It's it'll affect your sleep every time.
every
Um,
time.
every time. For most people, if they track their sleep and they had alcohol, they would clearly see it. Now, will that deter everybody from not drinking? The answer is, of course not. It does for us right now because we're all health and fitness people and we could see it very clearly. So that if we do decide to take alcohol, it's very infrequent and we know
Mhm.
what we're getting ourselves into before we do it. But the average person might not be aware of that if they've never tracked their sleep like this before.
And I also want to ask you about immune function, immune health. What do you look at? What strategies do you use to support immune health? After heavy training, you can actually have a dip in your immune health. How do we confront this?
It's a multifaceted approach. I'm a fan of several things. First and foremost, yes, I want an ironclad immune system. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be run down, and I don't want long-term diseases. All of that. I want just an extremely powerful immune system. So before I add anything to it, I have to figure out how do I subtract to get stronger. And we just mentioned it. So if I want a stronger immune system, the first thing I have to look at is alcohol. So
Hmm.
when you look at what alcohol does to white blood cell count in a laboratory under a microscope, when you consume any alcohol for the next 24 hours, your immune system is going to be suppressed dramatically for 24 hours. So oftentimes, if you could look at your past and say, when I was younger and if I went to a bar, oftentimes I'd be sick the day after I went to a bar. And I don't mean from too much alcohol. I mean, you would catch a
Actually
cold,
sick.
Right.
right? And it's because you're in contact or so close to so many people. And that's only part of it. You're always in contact to people. Heck, you couldn't go to the grocery store and not be in contact with people. But when you're consuming alcohol, your white blood cell and immune system is compromised for the next 24 hours dramatically. So that has to be considered first and foremost. I don't want the suppression of my immune system. Why are people more sick after different holidays? Why are people sick after big football games or after the Super Bowl? Simple, alcohol consumption every
Hmm.
single time. And yeah, you can blame it from being around other people, but I'm telling you, it's because of you. Um, start there. Number two is once again the sugar or insulin load. So let's say that you weren't a drinker. Let's say though that you just weren't a great eater, and you're having more pastas and more sugars and more candies and cookies and corn chips and things like that. It's going to give you the same type of effect on your white blood cell count. It's going to be suppressed. It's not going to do its job. Your insulin's going to be elevated. You're going to have inflammation. You're not going to sleep as well. You're not going to release as much growth hormone to rebuild and repair your system.
Hmm.
Because of it, you're going to be more susceptible. Now, on the flip side, if I want to force stronger immune response, the training itself, and we kind of split hairs before between strength training and cardiovascular training, but both styles of training is going to cause you to have more deep sleep because your body's very smart and it wants the growth hormone release. There's no doubt about it. So when somebody first starts a program, strength training and cardio program, they'll tell me, I feel like I'm sleeping better. And even before we get into the nutritional effects of it, it's the training effect of it that's causing your body to crave more growth hormone that only gets released during deep sleep.
During deep sleep.
So you're deep sleeping, you're releasing growth hormone, your immune system's going to be stronger. Simple as that. So now I'm doing my training. Now I'm eating better. Now I'm not having alcohols. My immune system is going to be yet even stronger. Keeping on the topic of sleep. If I go to bed and if I wake up around the same times, no matter what, if I don't change my schedule too much on the weekends to weekday, I'm setting a stronger immune system. I'm getting more deep sleep. I'm getting more predictable sleep. I have a stronger system. All of those things happen and we haven't done much. We haven't added anything to it yet. Now, if you said, well, okay, if I'm doing all those things, what if I added something to it? What if I added that prescription strength fish oil that I was talking about? It'll help
Hmm.
even more. What if I'm having grass-fed protein? It'll help even more. Now, I'm not just saying that to push my supplements at strengthgenesis.com, but I'm saying, though, it will help add to the entire system. So I didn't say that the supplements is where you would start. It's with the lifestyle where you start. The
Hmm.
supplements come with it after you've been doing the good things. Then all of those things combined, along with your nutrition, along with your hydration, along with your water intake, um, your thought habits make a big difference. All of that combined give you a stronger immune system. And then all of a sudden you notice, hey, you know what? I haven't caught a regular cold in like 3 years, where the average person's getting sick like every 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh,
Is it just genetic? No, it's not. It is your behaviors that are causing that. That's why you're becoming healthier.
what services do you offer that you feel like set you apart from other kind of gyms and nutrition coaching?
So I base everything upon three pillars, and that is the right diet, the right exercise, and accountability. In doing so, we want to make sure that we're fostering the right behaviors for the long run. When people come to see me, they have tried different things. They've joined gyms, they've bought Pelotons, they have home fitness equipment, they've done diets, but they still haven't gotten the results that they wanted. So I take that holistic approach and put it all together.
Mhm.
Myself and my staff are very hands-on, a lot of hand-holding because we want to make sure that people are getting the very best possible education they can in this entire process. So we kind of see it once again. My whole association is that of school. We want our students to do the best possible, and that's how we do it. So we set ourselves apart by that
Mhm.
three-part process, and also too by holding the hands throughout the entire process. Now, lastly, I know it's extremely cliche to say this, and you'll hear people say this all the time, but honestly, with our staff, with myself personally, many times we find ourselves being in the position where we want our client to do better than they do.
Hmm.
right? So we're constantly trying to influence them to the best of our ability. I can't make anybody do anything. I'm not going to twist their arm. I can't hold a gun to their head. They have to want all of those things themselves. But once they lock in and want it, for us, we're going to do everything that we can possibly do to make sure that they're doing all of the right things and have the best experience in doing it. So it becomes just this phenomenal health, fitness, and lifestyle.
And what new initiatives or where do you see the future of this of personalized health and wellness going? And what are you specifically working on that you're excited about?
You know, it's interesting. So when I look at this, I think several things. We talked about sleep, and you can see in the last 5 years how sleep studies and how the whole sleep industry has increased tremendously. We only briefly touched about it, but also too microbiome and anything gut related.
Hmm.
We are only scratching the surface of that. Um, it always I find it amusing when you'll see a commercial for some type of yogurt or some type of probiotic
Hmm.
talking about how this is the gut bacteria that you need. I laugh only because there is billions of gut
Sure.
bacteria, and yet a commercial is telling me that this is the one of the
This
billion.
one.
This one,
Yeah.
yeah. But the study of gut bacteria and gut biome is tremendous. I see a huge
Hmm.
influence over the next
Yeah.
15 years on that. And then lastly, anything regarding the brain health. So we saw dementia completely get away from us. It blew up as diabetes and obesity blew up. We're seeing this
Yeah.
terrible effect in dementia. In terms of brain health, I see tremendous breakthroughs as well. So all three of those things is being the future. And then lastly, some of the things that are just ridiculously exciting is longevity studies,
Hmm.
looking at all of the normal things such as um, cellular health, but also to immune system, as we just talked about, uh,
Hmm.
increasing muscle tissue, even with aging, different therapies, different peptides, stem cells, all of these things, genetic editing, all of these things that
Yeah.
are we're just knocking on the door right now, and it's the beginning of this huge field of what they call precision medicine, which is extremely exciting. Unfortunately, most people are unaware of it. Right now, they're
Hmm.
just thinking, what happens at my next physician's, my annual doctor's visit, and how many medicines are they putting me on now? So I do
Yeah.
see that as being the future of all of this, and hopefully more people are going to become aware of all of these tremendous breakthroughs.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Derek, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah. Thank
If
you.
our listeners want to find you or engage your services, where do they do that?
Yeah, in fact, go to strengthgenesis.com. And at strengthgenesis.com, not only is it our supplement site, but all of our social media handles are on there as well. So you can follow us on all of the Instagrams and Facebooks and YouTubes and Twitters and everything else there too, where we're constantly pumping out information on this, as well as all of our emails and all the other ways to contact us. Lastly, I'd be remiss of saying supplements isn't where you want to start, but if you're doing the right things and you want the highest quality supplements that you can get, I have poured my life into providing that at strengthgenesis.com. So everything from the fish oil that we mentioned, the grass-fed protein, we have some really other unique and cool products, apple cider vinegar gummies, creatine gummies, and chews. And lastly, we have this keto salad dressing called Origin that has been totally on fire for us right now. In the last six
Nice.
months, we have struggled to keep up with any amount of production. It's been that popular and it tastes fantastic. No sugar in it at
Awesome.
all, 100% extra virgin olive oil base. And you don't even have to refrigerate the salad dressing after opening. That's how
Wow.
pure and good it is. Keep it right on the counter. It's called
Nice.
Origin.
And you're making this is not a reseller. This is something that you are having manufactured yourself.
All of the products we manufacture ourselves. So I've taken the steps in the processes to make sure that we have all the right ingredients in all the right containers too.
Excellent. Good. And if you were going to recommend one of your books, maybe if one of our listeners want to check out what you've written, I read the Bermuda Triangle Diet. If you were going to pick one, which one would you recommend?
I would go with Bermuda Triangle Diet if you have any appetite for bad dad humor, which is what I integrate into that book. Um,
Can confirm.
Yeah, bad dad humor in there. Also, too, though, at Strength Genesis, if you want a wonderful cookbook, and we have it in a couple different versions. We have a softcover book. We also have a digital ebook that we're giving away for free. It's called Cooking with Gold, 30 delicious recipes. And that, once again, if you want just the ebook, I could give it to you at strengthgenesis.com. We do have the print version as well available for sale, but that is our most recent cookbook that people are loving.
And maybe we
Very
could
good.
talk you into picking out one of your favorite recipes. We send out weekly recipes on Substack. Maybe we could talk you into sharing one of those for that.
Oh, I'd be happy to. You bet I would.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. Well, that's something we can all look forward to. Once again, Dr. Derek, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
This has
Thank you
been
for
a real pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on. But Tony, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Are you city commissioner?
Oh, I was actually the mayor until about a month ago, and I spent a decade as a mayor of my town, and as I like to tell people, in December my sentence ended. So, no, it was actually a pleasure, but
I couldn't help seeing it. I mean, I see all the signs there. It looks fantastic.
yeah.
And you're the mayor of what town?
I was the mayor of Kingston Springs, Tennessee, a little town just outside of Nashville.
Love it. The mayor of
Yeah.
Kingstown. In fact, that was the show with Stallone, wasn't it?
Oh,
Love
that's right.
it.
Uh,
So actually, Tony was Stallone's stunt double in that film.
that's
So
right. Yeah, obviously. I mean, you know,
Well,
as you could tell.
that's clear.
I gotta do more. I gotta do more of that upper body strength training for that,
That's
obviously.
right.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Uh,
Awesome. Thanks again, and hopefully maybe we could talk you into coming back on in the future. I think we only really got to scratch the surface in our longer than usual episode, and there's plenty more to talk about. So I will make sure to keep your contact information, try to rope you back in, okay?
Oh, please do, guys. This was a lot of fun. I had
it
a
was a
great
lot of
time.
fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to like or subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We also list the show notes and have lots of bonus content available on Substack or Instagram.